Hi everyone, it is a Friday, October 21st. So the other day I recorded that video about Adam and Eve, and that night, so Wednesday night, I had a dream. I saw it clear as day, the word delta, and then I saw, actually it's the symbol for delta, so like a pyramid or a triangle. And it made me associate that. So now I feel like anytime that I see these triangles or pyramids, that's gonna add a deeper meaning to that in my readings. And so I woke up at 6:11. So I haven't done a deep dive into what the internet says about all of this. And I honestly haven't given it much thought because I was really busy yesterday. So, I'm posting this video as a channeled message because when I feel the message, it feels very personal, as it has been recently for the messages that I've been, or like the videos I've been recording talking about situations with me. But I feel more drawn to you guys than I do people in my external world, like out and about. So it definitely feels like someone out there, this is somehow connected, like relevant, like maybe we're going through the same thing, or like there's some messages that are supposed to be passed along in some way, or who knows, right? I don't know the grander plan of all of this. But I'm normally right about this, of like kind of who it's geared towards. So anyways, when I woke up, I saw delta in my dream. I looked at the time and I was like, pay attention to the time, because I felt like it was relevant. It was 6:11. And then I was like, well, the first thought I was like, that's some really good sleep. I thought I didn't sleep at all. And that's pretty good for me. 6 o'clock, 6:11, that's pretty good. But anyway, I looked it up online. I looked up delta. I don't know what I put into it. Let me see if I can. Oh, I put delta and a biblical meaning. That's just what I felt like I should do. And then I came up with this article. There's a town in, well, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but just Google it and you'll see it says like Delta town similar to biblical Garden of Eden. I have not read the article yet, and it's been like an entire day. I had it pulled up and I actually completely forgot about it and left it alone until today, this morning, when I was gonna, record a video. So how's that even connect if I haven't even looked into it? This is like partially, I feel, a global reading as well. Like maybe we should pay attention to something that's going on in that area. Not just like separate from the stuff that I said about relevancy to me and like, all of that stuff, but also what's going on in the world there and what to do about it, or like I'm not sure what that's about, but maybe I'll know later on. So let's get into like a channeled message. So okay, delta, what delta means for me, when I was feeling it, it was like very, I won't attach the word very to it because there is no very, but it felt absolute. Delta felt absolute. It's almost like the cliff. Like let's say you're on a mountain, and then you get to the cliff, and then you have the option of like staying on the cliff and like going back down the mountain, or jumping off the cliff into who knows where, right? Delta is the absolute edge of the cliff. It's like the breaking point between the subconscious mind, or like the spiritual world and this world. That's what it feels like to me, the conscious mind. Yeah, like this reality and the next, kind of is how it feels. And it also symbolizes to me creation. It symbolizes to me like even just like the arts and the art of creating, where when I say the art of creating, the way that I see it in my mind is like it comes from divine, right? It comes from this other area beyond, it reaches beyond our inner thoughts, right? Sometimes if you're just kind of doing like a shallow creation in some, it's not really shallow, but you know what I mean, where it's like you're just kind of mindlessly doing something, well, mindfully doing something, because mindlessly really puts you even deeper into a more subconscious state. But it's like the processes of reaching these higher realms to bring that creation into this world, right? Writers group, create or join a writers group to gain inspiration, friendship, and support. Express your inner truth. Your creative work shines brightest when it reflects your genuine feelings and thoughts. This is so funny that I see this trumpet here because this is, side note, I was thinking the other day how funny it would be, because you know how like angels are depicted as like playing the harp and playing trumpets and playing the violin, like these beautiful instruments. And I was thinking, like, wouldn't that be funny if those were actually people who were thrown into the pits of hell and they're the ones that are stuck playing these trumpets or no whatever for eternity. Like they're damned to play these instruments for eternity. So like all these people who hear these angels, it's like it's so beautiful, but inside these beings they're like tortured souls, like get me out of here. It's funny because if you think about the most poorly mischievous, like not mischievous in a good way, but like a really just like bad person that you know, like the worst person you know or whatever, like oftentimes they get very bored easily, or they really are into like some really like troublesome things. So that would be very torturous for them. And I think it would be torturous even for normal people if you had to do that forever. Like for me, that would probably be a lot of fun. I really love instruments. I don't think I would ever get bored of that. I don't know what they would have to do for me. I don't want to think about it, but I just thought that would be funny. But anyway, so we have let go, release the desire to control the situation, and leave it up to God's infinite wisdom to resolve everything beautifully. I see a perfectionist mindset here. I see a perfectionist mindset, so I can relate to this because they're showing me how I've been, and I still hang on to that in some ways. But well, in my personal life, I definitely hang on to this, but especially like with YouTube, I just record it and then post the video. I don't even go over it anymore and like listen to what I have to say and like try and crop things out. I just post whatever. And so the way that I'm seeing this particular card where it says let go is, it's like this person who has this beautiful rug, and they're like they're the artist, like it's an artisanal rug, and they keep washing it and washing it and washing it because they don't like the way that the ink has you know, how they made the rug, right? They already put it together, and then they keep taking it apart, or they keep soaking it to get the paint out of it, or whatever you call it, the dye. I'm thinking it's like natural dye, so that's what I'm saying. It's like these natural dyes, so they're like soaking it out, trying to get it out. And there's this person or this angel, like it's almost a divine intervention of saying, hey, like, stop doing that. You know, it's fine the way it is. Like, you're gonna be more content with yourself, and you're going to understand yourself better if you just let go of that grip of trying to figure out the finer details of things. Like, what's the bigger picture of it? And focus on the bigger picture than you do on the finer details, right? Like, for me, it's like, why am I even posting these videos? It's not so I can have this, like, image of myself on here that's not cringy or what. I don't know, like, you know, I'm thinking like what would I crop out? It's like I would crop out dead space, you know, like all the times where I'm like quiet and like trying to figure out what I'm hearing and then translating it. I'm trying to figure out, you know, I'm stumbling over my words, swallowing, like I'm like swallowing extra loud, like stuff like that. And so, you know, and then like with the birds going crazy and stuff. And so if anything, then I could hire out, right? Like if that was significant to me, I could hire out. But the greater purpose of me even posting videos is to really connect people with themselves, honestly, with like, you know, a lot of people, including myself, and I've talked about it, like going through that process of like trying to adjust to the reality that there is something beyond, right? It's like a lot of people want to believe, or they do believe, but it's this experience or this feeling, there's like something missing for so long. And sometimes, like for me at least, it's like I had always known since I was born. Like I have memories of before I can even talk, of communicating with my guardian angels and probably astral projecting. I didn't realize that's what it was at the time. But like seeing things from a different perspective of like the way the world is and seeing energies, and I denied it all of my life. And there was points in time where I would speak to my guardian angels and they would tell me this. They would tell me like, you need to live a more normal, you know, in quotations, normal life. You need to be able to adjust as like this identity, like who I am in this world, before really getting too much into it, because I'm not mature enough. Like I'm not ready for that. It's gonna mess everything up. And honestly, like I wouldn't have obeyed. I really wouldn't have. And that was they're constantly, like the feelings that I was getting from my guardian angels, they were constantly pushing me back down into this world, when energetically I was trying to leave this world. I was trying to stay up there. And the only thing that really, there was a lot of divine intervention, like that I feel was from like archangels. But eventually what really stopped me for a long time was, I talked about it briefly on one of my other videos, but my spirit guide, my guardian angel, they let me, they had been letting under their authority, I guess, like under their supervision, my soulmate and my soulmate's primary guardian angel or spirit guide, and then me and my primary spirit guide or guardian angel, communicate with each other and catch up with each other on our lives. And then they told me that I needed to like separate. We needed to start forgetting some of this, and I didn't want to do it. I was grasping onto it energetically, and they told me if I didn't let go and I didn't continue my life just kind of as normal person and pretty much reject not spirituality, like not religion or anything, but like this kind of stuff, you know, like the more, I don't know if it's more esoteric or not, but you know, like you get what I'm saying, then I would mess it up and I would get involved with some darker entities. And when they told me that, it was me, I don't know, I just realized like I would never want anything like that to happen to him. I would never want to harm him. I would never want to mess up his journey. And, you know, I saw what would happen to him in his life. I saw everything. I saw nearly everything with me, but it got, every time I would get to a certain point in my life, like with, like seeing the future, I guess, foretelling my future in some way, the emotions would get too intense. Like I would start getting really emotional and stressed out and frustrated, much like I used to feel when I was a baby. Those same feelings of like almost like helplessness, like I'm like stuck to the time, you know, the time of this world. Like I'm stuck to the way that nature exists here, right? Like, anyway, so I promised and I stood by that promise for the most part. I tried to skirt around it, but I never pushed beyond the boundaries. I definitely tested the boundaries, but I did not push the boundaries of basically, like, I chose to do what's right. I chose to do what would be righteous for him so that nothing came, you know, I don't ruin his life, basically. And it was at that time I talked about where these demons came in. I had not been aware of demons up until this point in my life. I was very young. I was not a teenager yet. But these demons came in, and then they were also masked as women as well. So I consider them witches because they kind of, you know, they're just like these dark haired, beautiful women with like this mystique about them that's like, there's a depth to them that's a dark depth, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how to explain it. It's almost like a pit. Like the pits of hell. But not really. They didn't seem like, you know, but then one specifically came forward to me, and she said, you know, she could change the course of our lives, and she could guarantee that I would be with him, and she could guarantee that I could have the things that were foretold to me in a guaranteed manner, because the way that my guardian angels were telling me is like, this is what's meant for you, but it has to go in the correct timing. You have to go through this journey. You have to go through divine timing, right? It's on a higher authority's time, not your time, right? Your limited awareness, like you only know so much, so your desires are short-sighted. We can see the bigger picture. And so, you know, she tried to tempt me, and I said no. And my guardian angels, like there were many of them at this point. They all came through, and they all surrounded me, and they were pushing her out of my energy field and pushing all these, you could see these other like demons or whatever they were, like dark souls, like they were attracted to my light, essentially, because it was like, once I became fully aware, like my innocence fully became aware, my awareness of like being there in this other world, because before it was just like natural, but what changed in that situation is like I was actually able to kind of like understand in a different way of what was happening. And it just brings me back to this other, I'll tell you in a minute, about my mirror. It just reminds me of my mirror, but anyway, they're like attracted to that. They're attracted to your light. And so my guardian angels were covering me. They were protecting me, and they told me, like, you know, these are demons. This is what they will do. And you need to go to sleep now, and you need to let this go. You need to let us go for now. This is your time, you know, because what really led up to that situation is because I kept begging and begging and begging for more. And there was levels that I had, I guess, passed, like tests that I had passed when I was younger. Since, again, this is before I was a teen, so I was still young, but there were tests that I had passed where I was showing obedience to God and to my guardian angels. And so because I had proven myself, then they allowed this next step to happen. And so yeah, to talk about the mirror situation really quick, and when I was thinking about that is because I actually have the mirror here in this house, and I still look in the mirror. Like, I still use the mirror nearly every day. When I was a baby, when I was growing up, I would constantly stare in this mirror. I would just sit there like for hours on end, and I would just stare into the mirror, and I would talk to my inner world, and I would see them around me, like in the mirror. If I could, when I would, and I didn't realize I was meditating at the time. I honestly did not realize what I was doing at the time. No one told me what I was doing. They used my gifts. They used it against me, that's for sure. And they use it for their own things. But I didn't realize that it was anything like, I don't know. I didn't realize it was anything. And so there was even a point where I saw my face transform like through my ages. So I saw myself grow up. And again, it always ended at the same time. Because honestly, I feel like there's only so much I'm supposed to know about my life. I'm not allowed to see what's past this particular point in my life. I don't think my life ends at that point. I think that's really, in some ways, where it begins. But knowing how I am, I probably, it's for my best interest that I don't know. And I actually have at the bottom of the deck perfectionism, and behind that keep going, and behind that recognition, behind that pay attention to your dreams, behind that deserving, and then all of this to say, like, I think for you personally, how this all relates, I don't know with the things that I've said, but how it relates with these cards is, I see. Because how it kind of relates, because this is where it all came through, is letting go and detoxing your mind, detoxing your body, detoxing your spirit. And the way that I see that, it doesn't even have to be in like you know, moving more throughout your day, exercising, cutting out things that you shouldn't be consuming or whatever. It's about how all of that suppression, there's a stronghold there that maybe you're holding on to that needs to be let go of. That's what needs to be detoxed from your system. Because as I was bringing all of this up here with letting go, it's your guardian angels saying, like, look at the bigger picture, right? Like, again, why did I start this channel, right? And like, where have I been in my journey? What things did I have to sacrifice for the good of others, or sacrifice for the good of all people, right? And even for everyone, like everyone meaning like people, like putting myself out there, I had to sacrifice my perfectionist mindset, or I had to sacrifice my stronghold on like not even wanting to do it. Like, I didn't want to do this at all. I didn't want to even think about my spiritual journey. Like, I was still holding on to, you know, I had awakenings later, but like reawakenings, I guess, or like reconnecting when they were like pushing themselves back into my life and like saying like, it's time. And I kept resisting it because I was very comfortable in where I was at. I was very comfortable in my life, and I didn't want to revisit it. It was so unfamiliar to me and so different for me and uncomfortable for me. And I was doing a very good job of navigating this world without having to think deeper about this kind of stuff. In truth, like in my inner, like my deepest heart, like or whatever, like my deepest passion or like desire in life was to always know. That was my biggest thing. It's like I always wanted to know. But in order to get to that point, there were things that I had to let go of mentally. I had to let go of, where it's like I had to admit that I believe that things happened to me. Like, I believed that stuff was true. I had to believe all of that. And then I had to even follow my intuition on some things. And it led me where I needed to be, right? And it actually brings me, so recently, I think it was during this stream of videos that I've been posting where I mentioned that I haven't read the Bible yet. And that's one of my biggest goals this year, is to read it at least once. And so that's actually something that I've picked up. I've put by my nightstand one of my Bibles, and after this, I planned to go read the Bible and start reading the Bible every day. And so it just feels to me here, your guardian angels are saying like this major push of encouragement to keep going, really. Like, let go of the things that you're doing to restrict yourself. Let go of the things that you know are only holding you back. Find that bigger picture for you and chase that, right? It's like when you have a passion about something, when you have a feeling about something, like when you sincerely desire something, put your focus towards that, right? And that actually, that ties into this as well, because it's something that I've been thinking as well, which is like what I'm personally thinking for myself too is like, what do I need to change? Like, there's a point in my life now where I feel like I have to change something, right? Like when we go back to Delta, it's like I'm at that cliff, right? And what do I choose? Do I choose to just stand on the edge of that cliff forever, or do I jump off and see where that takes me? And my choice is I'm gonna jump off that cliff. Like I'm gonna see. I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna check it out. You know, you never know. And it's all about, you know, this life really should be fun. You should be able to feel light as you move through your experience here. And unfortunately, that's not the reality for a lot of people. And where I come from, like, in my mind, what I desire is to assist people in discovering how to lighten their load when it comes to this experience. And so what is it that I need to adjust so that I can fully pursue, or at least like focus more on that, right? And it's the example, a perfect example, better example is Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin, you know, was so passionate about conservation. He was so passionate about that everything he did, he lived, breathed, spoke of conservation, right? Like if you were able to help him on that, then he would do that. He would do whatever it took for his passion. And so it's the same thing here. What's your passion? It doesn't have to be so profound, or like, maybe not profound is probably a poor choice of words, but like so intense as that. Like, it doesn't have to be such a drastic thing to make these adjustments. But in your personal life, like even as small as like where I am today, and like me truly unlocking everything in my conscious awareness of what is going on in the spiritual world, like that was destined for me. Like that is part of my chart, that is part of my journey. But in order for me to even get to that point, I had to follow through. I couldn't keep resisting forever. Like I had to do what I was set out to do in this life, you know? So we have wellness again, which is, I think, very relevant to detoxing and letting go, and your inner truth with this sword here, and like piercing this heart. It's like you need to pierce your own heart, like, and your remembrance. Like, what do you remember? What do you remember about your past? Not your past life, like prior to this lifetime, but like who you were in the past. It's not to compare yourself to that, but like, did you have dreams that you let go of? Did you have a desire that you let go of for whatever reason? Is there a way that you can pick that back up? Is there a way that you can reconcile with someone that you feel you need to reconcile with? Or, you know, make your wrongs right again? Like, where is it that you're feeling pulled to journey to? I think there's this big message here of saying, like, you need to just try. You just need to try. And it's not, this doesn't feel like something spontaneous, so this should be something that's really been itching at you for a while. This is something that's been bothering you and like weighing on you very heavily, because with the perfectionism, that's how I see where it's you constantly ruminating over this over and over and over and over again, wanting to take movement towards this, or whatever kind of adjustments that this means, right? Or like, let's say you're a writer, let's say you're doing some sort of artistic expression, and yet you keep going back and waiting until you're enough, or waiting until this, waiting for that. And it's like, you did enough of that going back and forth. You can look at that as practice. You've been practicing. It's fine. Just try. Like, this is the next step in your practice, is to start putting it out there, start putting yourself out there, or start talking to people, or saying whatever you need to say. We have chosen here. Make a difference in people's lives. And the way you can make a difference in people's lives is being the example. Eyes of love. Focus your eyes on loving actions and your lips on loving words. And this kind of ties into, I'm stuttering now. It's interesting because I feel a community surrounding you, and I'm wondering if this is the team of your guardian angels supporting you and lifting you up. And that's why they were even showing me that vision too of myself being surrounded by my guardian angels, not just that solitary spirit guide, but I mean, there's several of them that are usually around, but it's like a huge amount of them there. And so it feels like you're really being surrounded by these angels, and they're pushing you towards this heart awakening, this heart adjustment. And it's this feeling like, you're restricting your heart. It's like wants to burst out, right? It's like this little heart looks like the world inside of it, and you can't fit. It's like a pendant, that's what I see, or like a locket. A heart locket, and you can't possibly fit the entire world or the entire universe into this teeny tiny locket. It's gonna burst right through. It's impossible. And so there's so much tension there because you want to release that. You want to release this skill or this information or this artwork or this expression, or you just want, it could just be something so simple as it's seemingly simple, right? That's the key. Is it's seemingly simple, but in reality it's this huge step that you probably don't even realize is such a drastic step for you. And it's cutting out these distracting thoughts. It's like just this it's a distraction. Everything that's holding you back currently, potentially, realistically, okay? Think about it realistically, like that, it could be holding you back, okay? Don't get too wild with it, depending on who you are, but get out there, put yourself out there, and believe in yourself. Really, truly believe in yourself. And, with this, it reminds me of law of attraction, or manifestation, and how you could manifest or attract things within you, where, you can adjust the way that you speak to yourself. You can adjust the way that you perceive the things that you're doing, right? You're allowed to present yourself authentically. You're allowed to be who you are, and there are going to be people who love you. There are going to be people who respect you. There are going to be people who honor you and honor the things that you're putting out into the world. And energetically, that is the most pure and honorable thing to do, irregardless of whether you receive public recognition, which I do believe that you will. We have recognition right here, right? You will receive that. However, and you paying attention to your dreams, not only are you being communicated through your dreams, much like how I am, but what is your dream come true? What is your dream? What is your biggest wish in life? When you really sit down and think about it, you can think about it right now, it's like, oh, this is what I want. But if you sit down, you meditate, and you write, and see if that's in alignment with the things that you're actually saying, right? For me, my biggest wish, and I've written this down many times, is love. Is love. That's truly what I desire in life, is just this feeling of compassion, to wake up every day and feel surrounded by love, surrounded by that protection of love and that illumination and emanation, like emanating love. And that's something that's achievable right now. Like, I can have that right now. I'm living my dream come true right now because I choose to be that way, you know. And not every day is like that, obviously, but that's my main priority. And so that's also something that you might realize is like, you're actually living your dreams right now. Maybe you don't even realize it, you know. Maybe there's a way that when you resolve, you know, and detox yourself from all of this, you're gonna realize, you know, it's right there. It's right there for you. And it's always been there for you, but you just needed to go through that maturation process. You just needed to go through a process first before getting there. And like really being able to appreciate and receive it in the way that it comes to you, like, or it comes to your awareness now. Like, now you know what to do with it, right? But I do see that you're going to be very successful in whatever your endeavor is. You're going to succeed in this. And you know, even with Delta, I feel like that's also, you know, with creation, jumping off the cliff into the abyss. It's like this new beginning into something. This new beginning. And you know, when you start something new, again, when it's like reaching back into your past of like whatever it is that you have been dreaming of or desiring or wishing for or holding on to and like ruminating about, whatever this is, right? When you start a completely new beginning, that's taking all of this information, all of this knowledge, and starting completely fresh, right? With this wisdom, with all that wisdom contained within you. And so that's not to close the door completely on that information. It's closing the door completely on those experiences, if that makes sense. It's like you're not carrying that energy into your new beginning. You're alchemizing it into, it's like solidifying it into a new element, right? It's like you're taking all those experiences, you're mixing it in like a chemical process. It's creating a whole nother block of quartz. It's some other object, right? It's a mix of objects. And that's your wisdom. And that's what you carry on into your new life. Like what I talked about in the other video where glass is comprised of different quartz and other material like sand or something, you know. So it's like you're making glass with your past. You're making that, you're turning it into glass, and then you're taking it into this new beginning and turning it into stained glass, right? So they're very excited for you. Arrow, surround yourself with protective energy. Definitely you are protected. Definitely you're protected. Definitely. They're pointing, I feel like they're actually pointing, so I'm going to look at the top. Clairaudience, notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. Archangel Zadkiel. So that's probably guidance from your guardian angels through me. You need to listen to what I'm saying. And we have feel loved and comforted, Earth Mother. There's so much here about the earth as well. Repetition. Take note of intuitive messages with the moon, again with the cyclical natures. Spring, see your seeds grow. I mean, you've planted the seed. And I feel like it was the second top card too, but I started shuffling. So sorry, guardian angels. What else here, please? They're telling me, I thought I pulled, oh I did, but I'll pull another one, I guess. Okay. Okay. And I have this other deck, so we'll see what's going on here. It's kind of random, but sure, I'll pull from here. So we have passion. Haniel, Archangel Haniel, trust and follow your renewed passion in your love life and career. Once again, it's whatever this passion is. And sensitivity. Haniel again, so I would look into him. You are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. There's the harp. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you resonated with this soulmate situation, because I do notice these swans and love life coming in. And before I pull these cards, they wanted me to pull from an oracle deck about sorry. Anyway, this is the card. Honor the place in one another where you are one eternal soul, for there you will find true bliss. Sexual union. I'm just being immature, I guess. Okay, soulmate. Your soulmate is already with you in spirit. Believe this, and they will manifest physically. Embrace. Through each other, you will find the missing pieces, which I actually, I connect with this card with soulmates as well, missing pieces, because that's the way that I envision it, is puzzle pieces. See it as puzzle pieces, but anyway, I'm going to pull another one because I feel like there's more here. Sorry about my stomach. You heard it. Embrace. Through each other, you find the missing pieces. I'm going to pull one more because I want to. Is that okay, Karen? Yes, okay. Okay. One more, come on. Okay, right before these came out, this is a message from your guardian angels. This is obviously, right? But this is a specific message from them to you. Beware of what you are projecting, for the qualities you admire in one another are qualities you both possess. Equally so, the qualities you don't like are also your own reflection. The way that I see this is with eyes of love. Okay, oh, and they wanted me to pull here. Forgiveness and Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel guides your creativity, so another showing again creativity. And forgiveness is the first step towards letting go of hurt and emotional pain. It heals only you. Okay? And is moving you into a space, this forgiveness is moving you into a space of, it feels like a completely different way that you perceive the world, is the way that it looks like. It's like, once you what is the word I'm looking for? But it's like, once you settle on the idea of completely changing and like eradicating the things that don't serve you, like once you commit to that fully, it's gonna be this completely different world, the way that you see the world and the way that you see people and the way that you experience things and the way that you perceive situations that happen. There's going to be some complete change here. That's not to say that how you're looking at things is wrong now. It's just saying that there's like a slight adjustment of letting go of something, again, with like perfectionism or whatever. Like once you just take that small step, it's like the moon, right? Or the moon, wherever. It's like one small step. What is it? For man, wait. Anyway, whatever Neil Armstrong said. Well, I mean, not Neil. It's not whatever, whoever it was that allegedly stepped on the moon. Whatever his words were. Okay. But it's again, beware of the way that you talk about yourself. Beware of the way that you talk about your situations or your work or your passions. And it could be so minute that you don't even realize it, because it could be something you've been repeating to yourself for so long, right? Like when I talked about this, there's something that you've been like denying yourself for so long. It's like if you wanted to play the flute for so long, you're like, oh, I never could get that right and could never play that flute. And it's like now you're 38 and you're like, oh man, you know, I was never good at the flute, but I loved it. And it's like, pick the flute up and play the flute, you know? It reminds me of that song, Everybody Plays the Fool. And I used to think everybody plays the flute. I thought that was the lyrics. Everybody plays the flute sometimes. And when it comes to matters of the heart, there's no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love. Exactly. They're saying there's no... I kind of feel like... Hold on, let me listen exactly. They don't want you, again, to project negativity onto your life. They don't see you in that way. What's this? Wisdom. Exactly. You're not doing anything wrong per se. You're gaining wisdom. Look at it that way. It's like through these experiences, or even a neglect of self or others, or whatever have you. This is wisdom, you know, or forgiveness, like letting, like a lack of forgiveness or whatever. It's like you are gaining so much wisdom through these experiences and through these actions that you decide no longer serve you, or holding yourself back. Like you have gained something from it. So just be aware of that. There is no, even doing something right, it's like don't limit yourself to the black and white. Look at it as that bigger objective, expanding your understanding of life and love. Look at a bigger picture of that, right? Don't hang on to the details, the nitty-gritty of it all. It don't matter. Just keep going after what you feel passionate about. Chase after your dreams. You're doing great. We love you, is what they're saying. They love you.